No, and it's funny. We meet in a furniture store, and you were moving here to New York. I was sort of like fixing the place. I don't remember what was happening. And when I met you, and then I knew you worked from pictures. And the pictures I was looking at were not, I hadn't seen it in a gallery, I hadn't seen it, but I've seen it, a lot of it, And it was not editorial work, it was not work that you see in books. It was some kind of different type of exposure, And then from every artist I know, the one that I've been sort of like, taught me how to look at things a little different is that until I, became more successful working in making art, there was a way for people to do this. You have to go to, there was an art world, galleries, museums, and I follow your work afterwards as friends. You sort of showed me that there was a completely different dimension that was happening, and there was a different way of making, showing, getting people involved, in an artwork that seems to work more in conformity to the new landscape of social media and how people were actually getting to see the world. And some artists took full advantage of this new landscape. People were street artists. The street all of a sudden became the internet, and then it became a much wider, we're talking in New York about, and then going to show in Brazil at the same time, two different shows in the gallery. And I really wanted to, if we're having this conversation, because you are the artist that epitomizes for me this new type of making art, or at least this renewed freedom that an artist has, that it doesn't conform to a specific space. And even though we're doing a show in a gallery, how do you see yourself making art outside the gallery and inside the gallery? Because it's something that I try to do too.
Yeah, that's why, it's interesting. Since you know me, it's one of the things that people don't know much about me is that I self-finance all my works through artworks, So showing in galleries is something that I've done from the early beginning, but it's not necessarily what people get to know, because I guess the street, like you call the internet, it's true, it's so visible that sometimes give shadows to what you can show into a more intimate space. And so I haven't done, many shows in Brazil. I think, it's my second one only over there in a proper gallery setting. And this time I'm going back to 35,000 years ago. I went back, in Chauvet, where they find the first hand.
I've seen it, yeah.
So
I went there too.
I went back. I went there, and then to me, what's really interesting, it's a form of graffiti, and it's the first form of graffiti that represents a human presence, that use the wall and the characteristic of the architecture of that cave to actually, show the animals or the hands that are placed. And they're so precise also in the way that, one guy had probably were missing a finger, so you see that it's
some
that
tiger ate it.
Exactly, or some bear. And so what I feel is really, it's like this need to leave a trace and to say, I'm here, I exist. And the craziest part is that, in graffiti, that's exactly what we do when we write
tagging
it. Exactly, it's all it is. So I went there, and also I always laugh people when I paste, and because I'm not a painter, people say, yeah, but where is the hand of the artist, Where's the hand of the artist?
I try to do without hands, like riding a bicycle, right?
And so this show is actually all about the hand of the artist, because every single work I've done are the compositions of a lot of positions of hand of mine that I photographed and then create composition. I went there and built a giant sculpture in the actual compound of Chauvet, not inside the cave, but right outside.
I'm surprised they're still letting people inside the cave.
So no, they don't. They let us see the reproduction, and we've tried to go in the original one, but since a couple of years they totally blocked it because they went over the quota.
I went to Lescaut and Chauvet, but like 25 years ago, it was still possible to see it, yeah.
That must have been incredible, because just seeing the replica was something, But
You
I've
know
seen
what,
the
the
documentary.
whole Val d'Isère, you know, everything that they have there now, obviously, is much. I went to in Tanzania, Odubai too.
Oh yeah.
You know, and now what you see, everything is being buried back. You know, you only see reproductions. And those reproductions, they could have been. That is, I love the fact that those reproductions
Yeah.
could be at the Louvre. They could be anywhere. They could be in São Paulo as well. You know?
Yeah, but they did it there.
But the fact that you go there to see a reproduction has a context.
Yeah.
But you know what? Then I went back to Lescaut and I went to the reproduction. If you don't tell me, I wouldn't be able to tell. It's just,
Really? Wow.
Yeah, it's like there's no really, you know, because you can just, it's like Epcot Center or something like that. You know, you have to go there to be anywhere.
Yeah.
Or to be everywhere at
Yeah.
once. Yeah. But these places are getting, when I think about it, the fact that you have a tool in your pocket that can take you anywhere you want, you know, you still have to go places. They're also off, they're not site specific.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, no, it fascinates me. And so the whole show is about that. And it's woodwork that I'm presenting. So you'll see it's a lot of new work I've never shown before that I'm making in my studio right now in Paris that I'm very excited to show, where it's like I you know, paste the hand or woodcut the hands and create those large sculptures with different layers of hands. So the one thing you see that I'll show in the show, which is that I took my hand and I made giant prints on it, but I transferred them on wood and then I cut the wood. So you have a giant sculpture of wood, just, you know, which have which.
But it has all your marks,
exactly,
everything in it.
and plus the marks of the wood. The thing is, you attach them
cool.
as a.
So
as
you get 2 grains.
Exactly, and you attach it on the wall, and suddenly it's coming out of the wall. So we're gonna do one that's gonna be outside of the gallery that looks like it's grabbing you when you enter, and so if you come and place your head, and it holds you. But it's really something that.
So there's a photo op in it. Like
Exactly.
Somebody like this.
I cut, you know, hands in wood and stitch them together. Eyes from all the people I've met around the world. So I've kind of went from that.
You've been doing this for a long time.
Exactly. My DNA is to always use architecture and places around the world to kind of adapt the work. What's very interesting is in that cave, that's the exact same system. And that's what we found for 35,000 years ago. But it's actually probably there's even way older one that we haven't found today. The crazy thing about that cave is that it's just because a big stone have fell and closed it, so it kept it encapsulated for so long, so well. So I just I've always been, you know, fascinated by the origin of graffitis, and I think because I insert myself into the young history of it, there was a great bridge to do with that work, you know, and to do something completely.
In Brazil, they have these places in Piauí. It's called São Raimundo Nonato. That is a French archaeologist actually found that they have you know, stuff that's 14,000 years old.
Wow.
That contradict the Clovis theory that you know humans came from North America into South America. So and now you see people are fighting for these theories because of, you know, everything is biased and
Exactly.
and then, but you know, it's funny that we can find this stuff. My favorite sculpture in Brazil is actually a shark that was found in a pile of shells in Santa Catarina. It's probably 20,000 years old, but it looks like a brancusi. It's beautiful. And if you think of how was the relationship from the person to the world, like thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, you know, in a way, the world was this thick blanket of obscurity. Nobody knew anything about anything, and yet people were fascinated by little things. Specific things like their own presence by a hand or a fish or something that they ate, you know, and so much has changed in terms of technology and nothing has changed in terms of human relation to the world. You're right, you know, you're still trying to leave marks. But
and be remembered.
What is cool, you know, I'm going to hammer back in what I was talking about is the idea of public. You know, I come from a family that really never been to a museum. My father never stepped in the museum in his entire life until I had a show in it, and he came because he was the father of the artist. My mother was also not the person who would walk into an art gallery to see art shows. She didn't even know what art was. And for me, I've been, you know, criticized even, you know, the fact that you trying to make contemporary art, art that has this kind of an unquietness, that it's supposed to make people think different. It's supposed to shake them from their zone of comfort and offer them the possibility of a different mindset. And then I'm still thinking that I'm making art for a public that is not a public that is art savvy. They're not erudite. They don't know, not necessarily a public that know anything about art. And the things that I've done that I'm most proud of, like Wasteland, is just bringing people who are working in a garbage dump to make art with you. And you realize that it doesn't change anything. The end result is good. It's interesting. It's valuable. You know, I keep thinking how, and I think probably I have to say that your work helped me understand that, because I had a kind of a hunch that I was living in an art world that was so closed and so elitistic, and still it was just catering to the same group of people again and again and again. And around the time we met, I was already changing. I had done the film and I was working. I think then I realized that some of the ideas that I was, thinking that they were going on in my mind, actually they came into fruition through artists like you, who developed a completely novel relationship with public. I know it's art. I still think that art has to be felt. You have to go to a gallery. I'm maybe I'm old, or I think the physical experience is fundamental for art appreciation. Like the fact that you went, to a cave to feel those things. Even if it's you're in that place around the area, the context is what matters. I think. Yeah. But it's amazing how you gather people involved with your ideas, and they go to the place, where your ideas are actually taking physical shape. Yeah. We have friends in common, and it's funny how we evolve. Os gêmeos, as like people. First time I see a line outside the gallery to see an art exhibition was their show in São Paulo. I thought it was so cool. Yeah. That was not. It was not the art types. We're kids. There's people, all kinds of people, How do you see your public? I mean, this is pretty cool.
It's true. I have a public that, come from all different backgrounds, and that often, because of social media or the different way, because I don't do much press, so then the way the people get to know about my work is often through Instagram, that, we have good memories when I put you on.
You installed it in my phone.
I remember.
You installed Instagram in my phone, in Davos.
Exactly. And so 10 years ago. And so I think, it's interesting when I bring this kind of public into museums or wherever the show is. It's super fun. In Paris, when I had a show and I had put a photo booth in there, of course it would drag a lot of people. But the crowd that would be in the gallery didn't know the difference between a gallery, museum, or like an event space. They were just there lining up to their photo. And I like that mix. I like that mix of crowd, because same thing, I didn't grow up with museums, so it needs to be attracting for me, and to also be a place where you meet all kinds of people that you never meet, So I love when I do the murals, because those Chronicles murals, where I put thousands of people together, because then you invite those people at the opening. And they come.
Yeah, I love that.
And they never come to a museum before. And then when they all come, they all have something in common, because they're all in the mural. Yeah. So it's pretty easy. You have your audience already, because they come to see themselves in the show. And so that was in Brooklyn Museum. That was really nice, because there was the people from the Brooklyn Museum, but there was all the New Yorkers that would never put a foot in the museum, just if not for this mural. Yeah. But no, I'm excited, but really, to me, it's like, we've done many things together in the past, but to do a show at the same time in a gallery in Brazil means a lot to me, because you never forget the moment where the defining moments. I think when I was starting, I didn't know yet how to represent my work as artworks, or so I first pasted on wood, which I'm going back to those origins, but that's how I did my first pieces, in 2005, 5 and 6. And my first show was in London in 2008 with Banksy. And so that was really my beginnings. But I've always looked at your work into you find the best, like the best journey to actually play with photography, but in such another scope than anyone else, that you don't know anymore what you're looking at. It's painting, it's photography, it's engaging people, and it's making you lose your perception of what you think you're seeing and not. And that's what I think photography should be,
well,
or art should be.
You've done a lot of that too.
But
in the Louvre, a lot of pop art, anamorphosis, and all of that.
So what you gonna show in March?
Oh, I'm gonna show money. Money is in Brazil, if you rip money, if you have a picture of that, or if you have somebody who saw you doing it, or burning money, destroying money, you could at any point you can go to jail, not for a crime of doing it, it's a proof that you're crazy.
No.
It's a law in Brazil, right? If you destroy money, it means that you are insane, legally insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it would take you straight to a mental institution.
It's for real, like?
For real, yeah.
Wow.
And that law still exists, I don't have the number or the right terms. It's a little vague now, but I am, like you, your first works reflect the reality of the periferia, what we call in Brazil, the banlieue. I was raised in the outside São Paulo, and another day somebody said like, what's your relationship with money? I said, I always wanted to have it, like everybody else. I never met somebody who said I want to be poor. If somebody says that, Buddha probably said that. I never met the guy. I heard about it, but I don't know anybody who has, that. You got to be born rich to be able to come up with an idea like that. And your relationship with money, therefore, is not complicated. It's actually simpler. You want to have it. I subscribe completely to the culture of bling, for instance. People with gold. I remember when I started seeing that in the 80s here in New York, you start seeing these guys come out from the Bronx, from Brooklyn, from around here, with big chains, exaggerated, things that were just hanging on their necks. The sneaker culture, all of this, and the cars, and the throwing money around, and you could understand that was a way to say, I could understand that, because it's a way to cry, to say, I can do this. I can throw money around. Because I can, at least for this moment, I can, or if I could, I would do it. Like, who where the cash goes? Like,
so which money are you gonna show?
Yeah, so your culture is, I thought we have a bad relationship with money because it's a very complex medium, but that's what it is. It is a medium. It is a type of media like anything else, like television, like radio. Money talks, it does. It actually communicates. It creates metaphors for things that it actually achieves. So I was doing something completely different. I was trying to raise money for the rescue of the National Museum that caught fire. Yeah. And we were working with these archaeologists. Yeah. They were, archaeologists normally work in different places. This time they were working inside the museum,
with
trying
the ashes,
to dig
right?
stuff. Yeah. So I did these pieces with ashes, and somehow we got connected through the people who were working there with the direction of the National Museum. They had a connection with the mint where they print money. And we were offered, me and Fabio, we went to the Casa da Moeda it's called. Okay. And man, you gotta go there. It's amazing because you like printing. Yeah. All the way old lithographs where the place you print the works, you gave me a tour there. The money is printed with such precision, it's so beautiful, the way they care for it. And then they printed in these large sheets. It gets to a point that like a room with about 60 women, only women, very strange, or not. They search for little mistakes, and they do it cinematically, so they get like this, like those books that you know, like a flip book. And then when they see something, it's something that's happening wrong, so they take that sheet out. They find out how many sheets have been compromised. they rip it, and they throw it in a machine, and the machine shreds it.
Okay.
That's not money yet. Money is only money once it's printed.
Okay.
So it's not ripping money. So it's shredded paper money that has mistakes in it.
Yeah.
So they gave me bags and bags of that.
Wow.
And they say, do you want to do something with it? And I said, yeah, I can think of something. And during the pandemic, I first did the animals that appear in Brazilian money. And they're really beautiful. You know, I remember my daughter, Nina, she was very small. She would come pick up money on my desk. She said, I got money from you, Dad. And I said, what kind of money? She said, animal money. That means you were Brazilian reais, you know? Yeah. The other money is old people's money, which is dollars. Yeah. So I first did the animals because I'm into doing this thing, the most obvious thing. You do something with it. Yeah. You know, so you have two versions of the same thing, which is kind of interesting. The mind starts it's easy for the mind operate because you kind of know what it is. But soon enough, I realized that it was, I was drawing a tree out of charcoal and things that you used to, because you don't realize when you draw a tree, you're drawing a tree with things that used to be a tree. The paper used to be a tree, the pencil, you know. And I thought, it's interesting. Money used to be nature, you know, and now it's sort of like people are using money to, I don't know, to buy a painting that has a representation of nature, or buy land. And it's as natural as what it comes from. Yeah. So I started making these landscapes, and they became very intricate and interesting because there is not, the only color that you don't have in Brazilian money is green. Wow. It used to be the first color in the R$1 bill, and they stopped making it. Wow. So you have to make these landscapes without the main ingredient colors. So, and this is what I had enough pieces to have a show, and there was an idea by the gallery to have a show, and they said that you were having the show at the same time. I said, oh, yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it.
It's great.
Well, I'm excited for that. And, you know, I'll say when I'm in Rio, actually, the best place I've ever stayed was your house, you know, so. You
have a room there every time.
In Sao Paulo, let's see, but in Rio, that's like the best moment.
You gotta come to Rio too.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thank you.
All right, man.